Ladies and gentlemen, hello. Guess what? It's me again, your host, Tim Yancey, and happy to be here. Happy to be broadcasting live. We put out a little flyer ahead of time, so I hope we get some folks that come in and check us out tonight. My co-host is normally Jason Gowan, and he's not here tonight. He has been working hard on his Halloween stuff. The boy loves Halloween. I mean, it's ridiculous. You should see his house. He transforms it into like some kind of Transylvanian castle, dresses up. This year he was Ninja Turtle, movie ready costume Ninja Turtle. He was Captain American on another night. Loves Halloween. So we're going to give him a break tonight. Instead, I'm going to bring in my co-host for the night. You guys know who he is, Shawn Kelly. How are you, buddy?
Hey, I am awesome, Mr. Tim. How are you, sir?
It's good to see you. It's good to see you. Now, for those of you who don't know who Shawn Kelly is, if you have fallen off the planet or have been living under a rock, Shawn Kelly is the founder and creator of Stomp The Bullying. And that's one of my favorites. One of my favorite charities that I work with is as often as I can. Most of you know that I have had last year a pretty serious medical scare. And because of that, I have been on a path for probably a year now of getting back to center, of wellness, of trying to go from being somebody who is healing and recovering to somebody who is thriving and getting out there and doing the exercise and building myself back up. Shawn has been a huge part of that with me. And tonight, Shawn and I are excited to bring on a very special guest. Now, this is a great friend of Shawn's and her name is Jocely Gonzalez. Now, you ready for this? This girl got degrees. She got master's degrees. She got bachelor degrees. She's done been to more colleges than I've ever seen. This is ridiculous. You ready? Jocely.
Very well schooled. Very well schooled.
Oh, yeah. I did not. And see, I didn't realize this. When I first met her, I thought, well, she's cool. She ain't as smart as me, though. Let me tell you about it. You ready? Graduate of Indiana University, Purdue University at Indianapolis with a bachelor's of science degree in biology, master's degree in neurobiology. I don't even know what neurobiology is, but we're going to find out. She worked at the University of Miami School of Medicine, the National Parkinson's Foundation, in collaboration with Miami-Dade medical examiners, studying the brain and the underlying mechanisms of neurological diseases. She conducted research in a normal aging brain and in brains with neurological and neuropsychiatric disorders like Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease, bipolar disorder, addiction, and many others. Jocely managed one of the pristine organ tissue donation organizations in the country, the Brain Endowment Bank, where she worked with patients, donors, families, and investigators all around the world. Now, her passion for learning about the brain and its complex interactions has led her to become an international speaker on the aging process. She's an entrepreneur, a life coach, as well as a personal mentor in different communities. She's had over 20 years of vast public and motivational speaking experience. She is awesome. When I've gone and I've heard her talk and I have seen her change lives, it's amazing. A great leader. Her passion is to learn more about the aging process. And she has taken her interest to guide and help others into health and wellness. Hey, I need a little bit of that, right? And as the aging process continues on through life, to help give you and provide tools in your toolkit to deal with that. She's currently a master life coach for the Champion Karate Federation. She's the director of public relations for Stomp The Bullying. She's the director of public relations for Champion Karate and a certified life coach with John Maxwell Leadership Team. You ever heard of them? I have. If you haven't, You better get your ass on the internet. You ready? Jocelyn, welcome to the program. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you? You're making me laugh since you started.
Right? I mean, this is about having fun. So
I love it.
I want to welcome you. I haven't seen you in a minute.
I know. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so honored to be here tonight. I am excited to be able to talk to everyone and just about my passions, but really more about what's going on and how everybody can really help one another. I'm really excited about that.
I hear you. Now I'm going to move you. I'm going to put you right up here. I'll be down here on the bottom. So you and Shawn can take the show. Now, that's a heck of, when you hear somebody talk about your accomplishments and the things that you have done, it's got to give you a huge sense of accomplishment.
I never even think about that. I always say, titles, in my opinion, mean I just have an inquiring mind. I just always want to know. I just always want to find out. I always ask why. I always try to figure something out. I'm always striving to be better and look for the next thing. So that's just my nature. I don't even pay attention to all the titles. Mr. Kelly actually always asks me to say where I come from and what I have done. And I'm like, I don't want to say all that because it really, yes, it has paved a way for me, but at the same time, it's not the only thing. There's a human being behind all that. So
Sure. And one of the things that I notice when I'm around you is that people are attracted to you. People are engaged, they're focused. And when you talk, you really make a connection with them. Do you think that the work that you've done has helped you to achieve that level? Or is it just, you're a cool person? I don't know.
I don't know. I couldn't speak of that. But I think when you're interested in people, and I am hugely interested in people, you want to know about them. You want to find out where they've been. You want to find out where they are. And, if by some grace you actually are able to lend a hand and help them to where they're going. To me, that in itself is a huge investment. So I'm a people's person, but I do try to give everyone a piece of me and a piece of time and just a gift of attention. I think it's very important for everyone. I see it from children all the way to adults. Everybody has a story, and we all have walked away, and it's great to be able to share it. So that's how I look at it.
Awesome. So tell me now, because even I don't know this story. How did you meet Shawn, and how did you get involved with Stomp the Bullying?
So my children actually attended Champion Karate here in Lake Mary under Professor Mike Friedman since the time that they were 9 years old. And the story is actually pretty interesting because I have 3 children. Nowadays, they're ages 21, 19, and 15. At the time, my second son was 6 years old, and he was having a lot of issues at school with transitions and focusing and discipline and being able to channel his energy. Teachers were giving him a hard time and giving me, every single day was an issue. And so I was desperate, and I was talking to my sister on the phone. And she said, you should look into karate. I know that they really help guide and channel a lot of this in a very positive manner. And I happened to be turning the corner, and sure enough, I see a karate sign right on the window, and I decided to pull in. And I went in the parking lot, walked in, and Mr. Friedman greeted me and welcomed my family. We've been there since forever. My kids grew up under his tutelage and all the coaches that he's had through the years. So I met Mr. Kelly through that, as he comes very often. Mr. Kelly is Mr. Friedman's mentor, and they continue to have this amazing relationship for so many years. So I've met him for a long time, and just getting to know what he stands for, what he does, what he cares about in the community, how he doesn't leave a child behind, he doesn't leave a person behind. His heart is always there for people in need. And the story of how Stomp the Bullying was created really touched my heart. And I decided to become involved with it because I know of so many people who walk the same path and have the same kind of experience, maybe in different scenarios where,
Right.
you know, they really reach out and are looking for help, and help is there. They just don't know how to find it. So I became involved in that manner.
Well, you're a busy person. You know, I mean, one of the things that I know about you as well is you're certified under the John Maxwell team as a coach. You're international spokesperson for the Stomp the Bullying organization. You're a neurobiologist. I'm not even sure what that is, but it sounds impressive. What is neurobiology?
Neurobiology. Neurobiology is just a fancy name for someone who has an inquiring mind. And that's what I am. Neurobiology really is the biology of the nervous system, which includes your brain, your nerves, and everything about it. It's your brain that makes sure that you're alive on an everyday moment, because you breathe, you don't think about it, your heart beats, you don't think about it. You certainly protect your hands from the heat on a stove, because you already feel that it's hot, so you don't touch it, and that way you protect yourself. So the brain really is all for a human being. The brain doesn't function well, and the body doesn't function well. So that's how I became interested in it at a very young age. Like I said, just being inquisitive. That's really the bottom line. But it has allowed me to understand human behavior, to understand humanity, to understand motor behavior, motor development. And it really has allowed me to maybe help my senses and be really focused on paying attention to detail in people. I can tell when someone is in pain. They don't have to say anything, whether the pain is from the heart, the pain is an emotional one, whether the pain is on your back, or you can't sit straight because your hip hurts. I can really see it. You don't have to even tell me. And I think that's one of those things that really startles people from me when they're with me, because they don't have to tell me. They just look at me and go, how do you know? I had a friend of mine, one of my coworkers, actually, last week, she was having a hard week, or 2 weeks ago. And she sat next to me, and I just looked at her and I said, what's wrong? She said, nothing. I said, oh, what's wrong? She said, nothing. Yeah. I was trying to act normal. I said, you can't. I read it like miles away. For me, it's like a big billboard. Most people don't do that. I do. That's how I roll.
The brain translates and sends out signals to the body, and our body posture can sometimes tell that and give that away. But in a healthy brain, that's one thing. What about people who are dealing with some sort of a special need, autism? We talked about Alzheimer's in your intro, those kind of things. For people who are with that, does it work the same?
It's all different. It just depends on different things. In terms of disabilities, for example, I'm a huge advocate for that. For the longest time, I organized with my family something called the Lake Scary 5K, and it was a way I took that on. Some families created it. They moved away, and I didn't want it to die. But it really is a 5K for to raise funds for therapies for children with disabilities, especially cerebral palsy, autism, all kinds of different situations. And so I've always been a supporter of it. And I really want to be able to just add that little bit of, grain of sand where, we can help someone in need. In terms of other situations, there's just so many different, diseases and issues with the brain. Something really little will change the whole balance around. It's just a vast field.
Definitely.
I don't want to bore everybody with it, because everybody will run for cover.
Well, I think it's important to talk about, people who live under the spectrum kind of view the world through a different lens, and there can be issues that come up. These days you see, like our election that's going on right now, and there's a lot of tension around that. There's a lot of divisiveness in our country right now. There's a lot of angst. COVID-19, everybody wearing masks these days, and that can be frightening for somebody who lives under the spectrum, Yeah.
As a matter of fact, what's interesting, I started a little program, not little in the sense of, it's really an important program, I think. Martial arts, and I know you're a huge I don't want to say fan. You practice martial arts. You grew up practicing martial arts. Maybe not right this minute, but I know you do.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I call myself an enthusiastic bystander right
There
now.
you go. I think I belong to that group too.
Yeah.
But Mr. Kelly, of course, lives that life.
Yeah.
But it's really one of those avenues that can do so much for everyone, no matter what the status or the development is. And so at Champion Karate, we've through the years helped a lot of children with disabilities in not only autism, Down syndrome, just different things. And it really, every child can be helped if only, and this is the dreamer in me, if only you don't look at the child as a person that needs to feed a box, but you create a box for that child. So I look at it as, let's not try to make the child fit what we think is normal. Let's cater to the student in a way that he can excel at his level, at his a need. And so that's opened up a huge avenue for us in terms of helping kids, doing more individualized training, and then giving them the opportunity to walk into now group classes and being able to then at their level enhance where they need to be. So it's an amazing transformation when you see not only the parents finding out that the kids can do certain things. I love that moment where the parent is just practically bawling because they see hope in their child, and then you see the child excelling and they have this pride in themselves. Even if the situation is different, you do see it, and I live for those moments. That's why I do what I do, because those moments just feed me to want to do more when they discover their power within. It's really an incredible moment. So,
Tim, I'd like to say in the years that I've known Jocely, one of the things as a international facilitator, you always look for ways to better your game when it comes to dealing with different challenges that one would have to communicate that the martial arts is a very unique discipline. And we bring in anyone and everyone, and I guarantee you with confidence as an example of a product of the product, that we can change lives. If you have the patience and the tolerance and the love of others, this is the new place to go. We are the outlet. We are the place that every community can look forward to, that will not only not abandon a child, but a grown adult. There is no lifespan to help another individual. When I met Jocely, again, there's that situation where it's like, is this possible that I have someone with like mind and interest? And then we started talking, and I knew just by watching her work with community through the different venues that they did, I asked her, I put her aside and I said, if you don't mind me asking, what is it you do other than being just a good mother and just love people? So she started telling me of her background. I'm like, are you kidding me? Why are you hiding this? Like putting it into a portfolio? And she was like, well, it's not that big of a deal. I'm like, to you, it may not be,
kidding?
But to the general population, they look for certain expertise in people because of that work that they've done. So when she's speaking, she's not speaking just by a point of view. She's doing it because, bottom line, I've researched it, and she still researches. So we have traveled, her and I, on a campaign, and we've gone internationally. And there are stories that she can tell you because I've told her for like five years now. I'm like, we need your personality in the martial arts industry. We as a whole, as an industry, have looked for avenues to better not only our game, but because of our life passion, how can we adapt the martial arts skill sets, drills, thrills, and pull people back together? And you talked about this political thing that's going on. I think now even the political arena could use some of the facilitators and mentors that we have that do have background, right, with the John Maxwell team finding value theme, and come into this arena. Mike Freeman, his school, ironically, Champions Karate, he breeds champions. You're taking people that were maybe underdogs, and now they're like community champions. They've got one young man who's been there, I think, since he was 4 or even 6 years old. His name is Brandon. This kid has turned into a rock star. He is going to be a community button where everybody knows him, just like you, Tim, working in Palm Beach County as a ranger. I mean, I know it seems like, oh, I just go around and do this, this, and this. But look at the work that you have done with the homeless community as a volunteer and now as a part of what we do. So combined, we are building a strong, diverse team like what Jocely brings to the table. And I'll be the first to say, sometimes a woman's point of view gets a lot farther than what us guys have to say. And it's been proven it has. And so that's my input. And if Jocely can share her recent findings by an experiment she started and is now personally involved with, and that is a child that is dealing with autism, but if she can share, and this, I believe, she can correct me if I'm wrong, what has taken place in the last few weeks with this young boy, and all she said to the mother was, just give me a chance. I know with confidence that you're going to see a change. So, Jocely, share this with the listeners.
One of the I'll share a few of them actually, only because I think when you make it your business to make a difference, you discover so much. Sometimes it takes nothing but a smile. And sometimes it takes a hug, and sometimes it just takes a listening ear. And when you do really pay attention, you realize and discover so much. So because of Stomp the Bullying, and I'll just kind of give a little bit of a background on that before I talk about that story. Stomp the Bullying, as Mr. Kelly being a co-founder of this, what it realized is how we are able to embrace people in a moment of bullying, and they can go to a safe place to find themselves, to find comfort, to find ideals that will help them through a bullying situation. So safe places, what better place than a karate school? When you have a dojo that has mentors and teachers and a community that supports one another, you feel safe, you're embraced. And so we have all these safe places that allow the students who are being bullied to go there, train, learn, have all these mentorship, leadership, development through time. And they are then by default able to either stand up to someone who's been bullying them, or stand up for someone who's being bullied, or at least help by guiding someone else coming into the whole ideal. So at Champion Karate, we're one of those safe places. Most of the time, I think parents have the kids join the karate school for 2 or 3 reasons, literally. One, because they want them to be active, and because of post-COVID, my goodness, kids were in front of a screen, for so many months. There's no physical activity whatsoever, so they were really eager to find, something active to do. 2, they will come in and there has been a bullying situation. Or 3, they're looking to get something more, some discipline, focus, perseverance. There's just responsibility, so many benefits. So they're looking for those things, right? We have a student, and I remember, I think I shared this story with you, Tim, back in February when we met, before COVID, where we had this one of our students who came in and apparently he didn't want to come in anymore. He was really upset, and mom couldn't tell why. And so Mr. Friedman, comes into talking to the mom and the son, and they're both right there in the main entrance. And he starts crying and comes up to saying, "And I've got these people picking on me at school," right? So he now breaks down, and I just see this transformation of Mr. Friedman, where he takes the child and starts giving him all these pointers and brings out this lion out of this child.
Yes.
Where he realizes, I've got power, I can do something about this. And right in front of my eyes, it was a transformation. I thought it was an amazing moment because of the right leadership, he was able to find the pain, grab it, and transform it into something amazing. And that child stood up, and just his physical appearance changed, his way of speaking changed, and all of a sudden you've got this child that was no longer bullied. What an incredible moment. If we're able to, when we reproduce this, because we have been able to reproduce this in other safety places, it takes the right leadership to care for wanting to be out there for the kids and young adults, adolescents, teenagers, it's the whole gamut. You will be able to really make a difference. So when I see those little instances, we immediately go, oh my goodness, this is just incredible.
Yeah.
And then through these travels, you realize that it not only happens right here in our backyard, it happens everywhere in the country. It happens internationally. It happens in other countries. So we went to Chile a couple of years ago, and I went as a translator. I went as a life coach from the Champion Karate Federation. And when we're there on day 2, we're sitting outside. Parents are kind of mingling and getting to know one another. And all of a sudden, there's a parent who, of course, Mr. Kelly has all the Stomp The Bullying stuff out there. And one of the moms just kind of starts talking to him. He doesn't speak Spanish. The mom did. So he just turned her into me, and we start talking. They had driven 9 hours to get to that seminar. They were sleeping in sleeping bags in a room because they couldn't afford to go to a hotel. And the only reason they were there is because her son, 12 years old, had been incredibly bullied since the age of 6. He was between being thrown down from down the stairs to being beat up several times through the years. She had to take him to the hospital, I believe, 3 times through the years.
Oh my God.
Kid had gone half his life. He was 12 years old, has gone half his life being bullied. I mean, when you look at that, you think, oh my goodness, how could this be? So she turned him into karate as a way of trying to find something. And all of a sudden, she lands into our group. And we sit there, and it was like a revelation in that moment, where not only is it a local problem, but an international one. We sat there as I am learning the stories. I take the kid and I do a one-on-one life coaching with him to just bring that out of him, bring the beauty of his eyes, not the child that had been beat up, but it was just the beauty of his soul and how proud he was of being there. And then, of course, I gather all the black belts, and I'm like, you all are his bodyguards from now on. Let's take pictures. He's gonna post this. He's gonna show people. He's got some bad people behind him to back him up and really look out for him. And what a difference that's done for his mom.
What's important to highlight for the ones listening to what she's telling you is she was able to take a moment because of a trigger point that caught her time to intervene and watch and lift this young boy who was, and she's not lying, every day he'd go to school and he was being abused, he was being followed, he was being hurt. The mother could not even speak in words because she was just lost with tears. And she said, God told me to come, and we jeopardized and sacrificed not knowing what this 9-hour trip was going to do for us. But they could not even thank us nearly enough. But today, as we speak, they are still in counsel with Jocely, and now they are asking for us not only to return, but for Jocely to come back for others of the same type situation to learn from. Because like she just said, creating safe places with the people who have the interest, the caring heart, But what she brought out was, at that time and moment, the child that was being abused, he was the all-star of this event by being singled out, and she brought all the other children together. And so for the first time, this kid had an enormous amount of new friends, both young, old, and afar, because Jocely knew how to put this moment together where it was a time capsule he'll never, ever, ever forget. And that, to me, was well worth our time collectively to do what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just
we are very blessed. That we are blessed.
Absolutely.
We are definitely
Absolutely. Blessed. Do you find that maybe in this country, I think there's a huge campaign, especially in the last few years, to deal with issues of bullying? In the United States, there's a lot of programs out there. How is it in other countries like Chile and places like that?
I think some countries, depends on the country. Some of the campaigns are stronger than others. But at the same time, it's just so vast and so spread about. I don't know that there's a lot of support financially, for one. It takes a lot of organization. Number two, it may not be a priority for a government where there's so many other issues, especially in Latin American countries with poverty and hunger and that kind of thing, education issues and so forth. I know that everybody in Chile, for example, are very interested in bringing Stomp the Bullying into the country as an organization to support and help change some of the issues there. We'll see what happens, but they saw firsthand what this can do. As we know here in the United States, for example, we're blessed in many ways because there are a few very strong organizations that do this, different points of view between education and counseling and that kind of thing. I think we are probably the only one that looks at it from this point of view, from the martial arts point of view, and the results are phenomenal. I mean, I look at, like I said, so many kids that go through these bullying behavior experiences and how they just change. The ones that begin young and do their martial arts very young, it's just they walk differently. They go into middle school and they are their little persona and they're able to just stand out and they don't take any BS, so they really are.
So a couple of observations.
I think another thing too is,
I'm sorry. Shawn, let me get this out, and then we'll go with you. A couple of observations that come to mind here. One is that martial arts is starting to evolve. When Shawn and I got in this, you stood out on the mat, and the guy yelled at you for an hour, and you went through the drills, and it was like basic training. But now that's kind of evolved, and we're starting to understand the power that we have as martial artists and how we can connect with the youth that we're training and working with and empower them through words like leadership and gratitude and those kind of things. So it's really changed from the way that it was back in the day. It used to be all about conquering your opponent. And from a neurological standpoint, we're kind of hardwired to be that way, I think, that we have these little reptilian brains that tell us, you know what, it's all about me and the heck with you. And if you don't like it, you're going to get this, that kind of thing.
What's important, what's interesting. And for me, martial arts has been not only the physical, but it's that mix of the physical and the emotional, the spiritual. It's got to be a balance. And it is part of the journey. I believe as you get older, you almost realize the pearl in the martial arts and what it really means. And it's really all brain. It's really all brain. And people don't realize that, yes, you have the physical motions, but it's only through the training of your brain, whether you want to use it for defense, offense, or as a sport, as an activity, as a hobby. It's all about the brain training. You train to understand your opponent. You train to understand your own body motions. You train to understand the dynamics of the situation. It's all about the brain. So once you realize that, and that's where I just see it so clear in my head, you realize that the martial arts has to be a combination of the physical and the mental. It has to be, because without it, you could repeat things like everybody else, but does it really make you a leader? Does it really make you want to open avenues for others? Does it really make life-changing moments for others? Just repeating, anybody can repeat a punch. I love kickboxing. I kickbox all the time.
Jocely,
everybody can do that. Yes.
Jocely, with your experience, Jocely, give me your thoughts now on the audience that would be in your travels, whether it be through Champion Karate or different venues that you've attended, with the people over 30 or even 40 years old. What did they say to you, or what have you found that they've come back and stated about why they feel there's a value and a benefit with being in the martial arts? And do you think people are now becoming more concerned with their own current health and wellness, mentally, physically, spiritually?
I think people are beginning to understand this. It's what Tim was saying earlier as well. At the very beginning, I back in my 20s, I ran in kids. I love to run. I used to love to run, and I was running in kids. Nobody really knew that you needed to have special, running shoes for your feet and your back and all of this. And I think as time has evolved, we definitely understand that there's a balance between the most important things in who you are. This is a phrase that I've been using for over 25 years. Your mind will take you, no matter what happens. You have to think it first. Your body will follow. If I'm thirsty, I think I'm thirsty, I'm going to go get a glass of water. Your spirit will follow. And so your mind will take you, your body will follow, your spirit will guide you. And once you realize the three, you have to learn to work on all three of those areas at some point. Most people don't get there until they're about 40 years old. We start aging at about 35.
58 for some of us.
Well, yeah, some take a little longer than others, but or a big hit in the head or something.
Right.
And they don't realize, okay, I better take care of my body, but by taking care of my body, I also have to take care of my mind. Spiritual components, there is always a part of that as well. I believe in that balance. I think life is hard enough without that balance, and it's a journey of discovery. That's one of those things that I do as a life coach. I help people discover some of those areas in their lives. Most people think that they got it or they know, and then once they talk to me, they realize they don't. But then we start discovering how is it that they actually get there. And like I said, I love those moments where they realize, oh gosh, I can really do this, or oh my goodness, I have to work on that. And just knowing that their quality of life has changed is just an incredible journey. But it does come later for some people. I have been very keen and aware of all of these changes since I was very young for various reasons. But people just do it in different ways, and they may be stuck in life until they're 55, and they're like, something I'm doing is not working because I'm not where I want to be. At 55, let's start. At 60, let's start. Why not? It's about quality.
Right. Well, we're talking about actual chemical or physical changes in the brain here when you discuss that. Have you ever seen What the Bleep Do We Know, that documentary film?
Oh, I love it.
Isn't it great? It talks about neurons and the neural net. And the outer shell of your brain is what is known as the neural net. And all of these little file cabinets are connected together with what they have called tendrils. And depending on the situation, for example, have you ever just really loved somebody and you think, man, that's the coolest dude, and all of a sudden they do something that just completely changes your mindset, and you go, you know what, that person is probably a butthead. That's your mind. That's a chemical thing that happens where they have shown this, and science has proven these two little tendrils that have the file cabinet that teach you about that person will actually separate and move and change. It's a physical change that happens. And that's based on life experience, information, education. You actually rewire the brain. How crazy is that? See, I know a little.
Well, I am very impressed.
Right?
Yes, you are absolutely correct. We are capable. It's called neuroplasticity, and neuroplasticity just means that your brain connections are forever changing. And it's very simple. Think about this: if you're a right-handed person and you brush your teeth with your right hand, try brushing your teeth with your left hand tomorrow. It'll be rough, and you'll be like, I can't reach, I can't get there. Do it for 5, 6, 20, 21 days, really. That's when you change a habit. 21 days, you do it straight, it'll be normal. It'll be normal, and you will not feel awkward. What you did was you just changed the neurotransmission connection, and you created a new connection. So that's exactly what happens. So because of that, a lot of people think that they go into their 50s. Oh, I'm too old to change. I'm never going to change. They go into their 60s. I'm already that way. No, you really can change your different things. It does take, the older you are, the harder it is, of course. But it is totally achievable. Same thing with the body. Your body, everybody thinks, for example, I always give this example. Everybody thinks that because you're aging, you are bound to lose your teeth. You're supposed to die with no teeth. Well, no, you're supposed to die with all your teeth on. And why do people lose their teeth? Because of poor hygiene. So it's your behaviors that actually mark where you're going in terms of your aging process. So change your behaviors, change your bad habits, and you'll have a better outcome in terms of aging. That's how I say it.
The reason that I grabbed that book is because this is my book of awesomeness right here. And it's full of all kinds of things. When I go to church, we have this really cool minister, and my wife Trish is the associate pastor, so she speaks there as well. And I remembered this. He said one time, and it was so profound to me that I wrote it down. It takes about 18 to 21 days to change a field of consciousness.
Correct.
And I was like, wow. So you can actually, for people like me who just went through a medical experience, and you feel like you're a victim, and you're in that recuperation and the, oh, don't touch me, I'm wounded mode, to becoming a survivor and kind of empowering yourself. But it takes a change of mindset, right?
Yep. That's correct. That's 100%. You have to make, the first thing that happens is you have to make a decision to want to change. You can either sulk on whatever situation you're in forever and die sulking, or you can change it and go, I'm going to do something about it and figure it out. Now, 99% of us don't know how to figure it out. But we can find someone that can grab us by the hand and help us take those steps. And as you go through those steps, it's literally 21. Some of the most stubborn people may take 30. But between 21 and 30 days, you are able to change. Now, I didn't say you transform immediately, because nothing, especially if you've been doing things for 50 years of your life, you're not going to change in 30 days.
Right.
It's just like losing weight. 50 years of gaining weight, you're not going to lose them in 5 minutes. But what you are going to do is you're going to start paving the way in the right form, so that you follow the right steps into wherever you want to go. Actually, I will be starting next year in January. I'll be starting a series on how to do this with easy tools to follow, and for people to be able to maybe work on a specific area of their life that they're not happy with, whether it's in relationships, whether it's professional, whether it's spiritual, whatever area, relationships with your kids. I've been doing this in Spanish this quarter with amazing results from the people who are participating. And I'll have a preamble. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I'll have a preamble coming up in a couple of weeks if people want to participate. And this is just a way of understanding where you are, then moving into action with specific tools that will allow you to then change those habits. Once you're changing those habits, you will see the transformation. It's just gorgeous to see. And then from there, you take it and you mold it into wherever you want to do.
So this is this isn't something we're just talking about. This is science about actually rewiring the brain to develop a different attitude based on education, experience, mindset, those types of things.
Right.
How can we do that with our kids? I mean, we have a program. Now, we just said 21 days. You guys have a 30-day sponsorship with Stomp The Bullying. So even in just that short amount of time, you're changing mindset, lives, attitudes.
Yep. Well, we decided to go into a 90-day stretch, and Jocely came up with something because of Thanksgiving. And I'm like, we got to do something between now to end all this toxic 2020. Can we go to the end of the year and start a 2021 celebration?
Amen.
And so she said, why don't we just show our gratitude? I'm like, well, how do we do that? What are you thinking? So Jocely, share what you came up with.
Well, it's a little expensive. Would be there for an hour and a half more from now. But what happens is most people think that being grateful is all it takes. So you want to change something. Well, I'm very happy, and I'm very thank God for my day today, or think I'm thankful for my children, or I'm thankful for the roof over my head. But there's a difference between being thankful and living in gratitude. And it's very extensive. It's actually much more than what people really understand. So I decided I am going to do, actually, it will be November 19th at 8:00. It'll be an hour and a half, little workshop that we will go from understanding what it means to how to do it and how to change it with very specific goals in mind, so that when we start 2021, we've been working on this for a little while, and then we're able to then take it to the next level into the series that I'm going to have for coming the new year. And the idea behind it is I just know how this works. I know how it impacts people. Most times there's something, when you start talking to people, there's always an area in your life that is not up to where you want to be, where you always say, people always say, I wish I had whatever, I wish I was in whatever. And that that moment of dissatisfaction means that there's something in your life that you want to change. So how do you go about changing it? It's exactly the opposite of what everybody thinks. So that's where we're going. We're taking people through that step. I hope people really want to do it because they will be seeing a lot of difference in their lives.
Now, it's funny that that's happening in November, because November is anti-bullying month, actually. Right. And so the Living in Gratitude workshop that you're having, for people who are interested in being involved in that and want more information, how can they get in touch with you?
They can send me an email. You probably could put it up, but it's lifecoachjocely@gmail.com. lifecoachjocely@gmail.com, and send me an email. Let me know that you're interested. It'll be a Zoom call. We'll have a registration for it, and I'll send you all the information when you reach out to me. It'll be candid. It will be informative. It will be work. And I hope people will really understand that this is something that they need. We've had a tremendous amount of stress this year, whether it was something that we imposed on ourselves or it was imposed on us, whether it was because of the pandemic, lots of changes in our society, the whole thing with, where we are today in terms of the election, just a lot of stuff out there. And as human beings, there is a boiling point that we definitely need to address before it really impacts us in a different way. And I'd like to be able to add to that, to help with that.
Absolutely. I'm a huge follower of a lot of the new thought circles that are out there, and some of those airy fairy, those, what do you call them do-gooder guys. And I love to follow a guy named Ram Dass. If you go on Netflix and Hulu and some of those, towards the end of his life, he did some documentaries that are out there. And the last words that I remember him saying on it, they were asking, how do you just come to center and balance in that? And his words were, love everything.
Yep.
Love everything. And I thought, that's a tough one, boy.
No, it's so hard. It's really a hard path to walk on because, well, there's just a lot. Again, we could be hours talking on this subject alone, but I call it your love print. And living in love doesn't mean being in love with someone. It really means living a life of love. And what does that look like? How could you love someone that, flips you the finger in the middle of the highway because you're going at the right speed limit, but they want to go 1,000 miles an hour? How do you love that moment? How do you love someone or a situation that is going against where we are or that we cannot understand? It's really difficult to do. So learning the tools to be able to do that, and then creating what I call your love print is really one of those things that it takes time. I'm not gonna lie. This is a journey of a discovery for sure, but it is very achievable. And once you do it, I cannot explain it, but there's this completion. It's a completion in yourself. And when you feel that, you really understand it. So it's worth a try. It really is worth a try. And one of the things that I wanted to do is bringing it back with the children, because that's one of the things that I want people to understand. If you don't fix yourself, don't expect your children to be.
Yeah. Right.
They follow by action. When you are doing
by example.
You lead by example. You lead by example for good, and you lead by example for bad. Whichever way you react to a situation they're watching, without them knowing they're watching, and they will react in the same way. And so, what are some areas of your life where they see you beat up? And I don't mean physically, I mean emotionally. What are areas in your life where they don't see hope from you? And what are they absorbing from you? Because they're watching. They're watching. How we respond to every situation in our life is how they will respond to every situation in our life. Guess what? We're responding to those situations in our lives because we actually saw it in our parents. Yeah. So it is a link. It is a link, chain reaction. It's a chain reaction.
I struggle with that every day as a grown ass man now.
We will be talking.
I think to myself, you know what? I will never do the things that my dad did or that my father did, and the way that he treated us as kids. I'm never going to do that to my kids. I have two amazing stepkids, Julie and Gabriel. And you know what? That programming, I'll be like, I did it again. I just, the same words my dad said are coming out of my mouth, and I'm going, what the heck am I doing?
You almost want to programming. Yeah, exactly.
That programming is so hard to break. It's like you said, you could put me in a padded cell for 21 days. My mindset's not changing. Those are some really deep grooves that were imprinted into me through life experience.
That you didn't even know, that you weren't even aware of. And because of that, you repeat them unbeknownst to you. Now, you can change them. Once you realize you're doing it, you are aware of what you're doing. And by default, you now work on not repeating them. And you will fail a lot because that's really embedded in you. But you will change
party of one.
right. But you will see that it gets better. And the more you work on it, the better it gets. It is active work. It is not something that you'll say, okay, I'm done today and tomorrow I'll be perfect. No. but it is a work in progress, and people will realize it around you. You will have family members come to you and say something's different about you. There's something different. They can't tell what it is really, but there's something that changes in you that is just the beginning steps. Just like a baby learns to crawl, first learns to sit up, and then learns to crawl, and then learns to walk, and eventually runs. Same deal. Especially when you're older and you've had a lifetime of the same behavior over and over, it is a little more difficult, but it's not impossible. It just takes time. And because of that, I see our responsibility as parents, as mentors, not only in the martial arts community, but in life, parents, is huge, because our children, now that we're aware of this, our parents and grandparents had no idea, people that came from alcoholic families, people that came from abusive families, people that came from, maybe they just wanted to live this little life in the square. They didn't know better. They didn't know. But we do now. So because we do now, there are things that we can do to stop what happened in the past. But at the same time, we got to look at the future. We have our children. What are we doing? How are we contributing to their development?
Right.
What kind of impact do we have in them?
Yeah.
And we definitely see there. That's the reason why bullies exist.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
I see it. Yeah, exactly. I see it in myself every time that I will blast something out there, and it's got this amazing way of going out there, becoming bigger, and it comes back and sticks right to your face. It's just what happens. So for people who are stuck in that spin, who are caught in those grooves and stuff, quickly, what are some ways that they might be able to kind of change that record?
Talk to Jocely.
Yeah.
The simplest thing is really talk to Jocely. Why?
Because find counseling is what you're saying.
Well, I don't counsel. It's more for me. It's more of it's life coaching. See, if there is a neuropsychiatric disorder, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, that kind of thing needs to go to a specialist. Issues with families and things like that. There's family counselors. For me, it's more about talk to someone that will help you not only with the behaviors, but understanding yourself. There is a whole path of things that you take between loving yourself, learning to love who you are, understanding yourself. There's just so many levels that need to be taken. What is the first thing you need to do? I think the first thing you need to do is, I made it this far, so I got to do something right. I got to be doing something right. I know there's a lot of wrong, but I got to be doing something right. So now how do I proceed into getting better? And again, that's really what I do. It's just trying to find those moments where then we can drag something good and then make it best.
Yeah, I think through a lot of work, a lot of education, a lot of learning, a lot of writing and journaling and all of that stuff, I think I have gone from about a D+ to about a B- right now.
Nice. That's great job. Great job.
You're absolutely right. It's about education. It's about learning a new skill set. It's about putting new tools in your toolkit. And you do that through communicating with others, learning different sets of routines, learning different skill sets. We're out there, and until you learn from somebody how to throw a ball, I grab it and I throw it and it goes over that way.
Exactly.
To learn how to throw that fastball, you got to practice. You got to learn it from somebody. You got to find out a better method of how to release, how to catch, on all that stuff. So it's just common sense. So, Jocely,
I think everyone needs a mentor, no matter how, actually, most people are very, very successful in life. They have several mentors because they understand that they need to continuously work on themselves because of all the different things that happen in their life, whether it's Bill Gates or, anybody that has any kind of success definitely has their mentorship network, so that they're able to cleanse in so many ways at so many levels, whether it's business, personal, financial. You always have to have that.
Absolutely. So I'm going to turn this over to Shawn for any last comments or questions that he has. But before we do that, Living in Gratitude. It's a workshop, November 19th. Is that going to be in the evening, you think?
It'll be at 8 o'clock, and it'll go for about an hour and a half.
Okay.
And we'll go deep into it so that we can kind of work for the rest of the year on ourselves.
Practical tools for your toolkit, folks. And it's learning how to change that mindset. That 21 days we talked about where that hardwiring gets changed. And it teaches you to look through maybe a different lens. Okay.
Right.
To view the world through a different lens, through a different skill set. And that's going to be on Zoom, right? It's a virtual meeting.
It will be on Zoom. See, once you register, then we'll send the link for it. The other thing that we will be having a Champion Karate, actually, it's a local event. It won't be online. Will be November 15th. It'll be a busy month altogether. November 15th, we will be doing a Stomp the Bullying event at Champion Karate with all of our families and our students. As they begin to be taught how to become those leaders and those mentors to other kids who may be struggling at school, in their social lives, in their social environment. So the idea is to really begin that education, not only in that center, but as we're able to travel to other centers, we'll bring that over to them as well.
Jocelyn, do you have a website?
I do. It's called jocelyscorner.com. That's mine. And then stompthebullying.net is the one that we have for Stomp the Bullying. It's, of course, every single, effort that we have through Stomp the Bullying, we definitely are always looking for people to support in many different ways. You can support as a mentor. You can support as a facilitator. You can support as a student, as a school owner. There's just a lot of different ways in which people can help and support financially. Most of these kids that go into the program, they are sponsored by our donors. So in other words, a child will go through a 90-day program with us in terms of learning the basic steps to start the anti-bullying process. And it is of no charge to the student. And that only comes through financial donations. At the same time, a lot of information goes out to the family. There's mentorship to the family as they all together gather to get better in this situation. So there's just a lot that goes on. Yeah,
that's an important part of this, because not only do you deal with kids who are becoming victims of bullies, but you also work with kids who just don't know how to act and they're bullying other people, and you bring them in and help to change that mindset, right?
Exactly. Mr. Kelly speaks about this. Go ahead, talk about the 3 Bs.
It's all yours, buddy.
Yeah, what we've developed was an abbreviation to the 3 Bs, where we have the obvious bully, then the one that's being bullied, and then the third person is the bystander. So the audience of awareness, and I think based on this whole show and moment that we were able to listen to what she had to say and the questions you brought forth, all we can actually tell the audience is come to one of the workshops that she does, and I guarantee you will go away a lot different than you came, because it will definitely grab you by the heart. And if you live with the intentions that we live, which is called intentional living, we can make a difference. Each one of us have not only value, but we do have the ability to bring out the best in people. And collectively, I believe in unity through community.
Absolutely. I believe in the attitude of gratitude. So
there you go.
November 19th, Jocelyn will be having a Living in Gratitude workshop. It's virtual. It's on Zoom. You don't have to wear a mask. You sign up. You get in touch with her right there at Life Coach Jocely at gmail.com. It'll change your life, I guarantee you. Also, for those of you who are interested in being involved in this, now, this is something that touches me close, because they've written documentaries about my life and growing up as a child in an abusive household. And so this is something that's very near and dear to my heart. And because of my current health condition, I can't get out there and throw them jabs anymore too much, and Shawn tries to get me out there, and I just, I get angst about it. I get anxiety, and I'm like, okay, what happens if I bust my sternum open again? That kind of thing. But what I can do is help them spread the message. So I want the folks who are here, and there's absolutely probably 1.5, 2 people who are watching this, because this is election night and the results are coming in, and boy, it's tight. So everybody's kind of focused on that right now. But through our archives and YouTube and the video archives that we have, people are going to see this. Hundreds of people are going to see this. We need you to get involved and to become a part of this. If it's something that touches your heart and it rings true for you, and maybe you have been a victim of bullying, we want you to sign up. StompTheBullying.net. You can get in touch with Shawn Kelley. You can email me. You can call me on the phone. You can come bang on the door, and I will get you the connection that you need to get in touch with these folks, okay? And you can become a part of the program. They're constantly training coaches. They're training mentors. They're training the big brother guy who just calls once in a while and says, hey, how you doing? How you feeling today? So, and you can be involved in that. And if you're not a level 42 ninja master, it's okay. We got jobs for you to do. So step up. StompTheBullying.net. Please get involved with the Living in Gratitude workshop. That's going to be 11/19 of this year on Zoom. And the way that you can sign up for that is through that email right there. lifecoachjocely@gmail.com. So listen, you guys, I want to thank you, and I'm going to put her back up here because I'd rather look at her than you. So there we go. All right. But Shawn, I'll leave you with the final go, and then Jocely, and we'll get out of here.
My final words are thank you for giving us the opportunity to share something that's a passion for us. And for the ones that aren't on screen with us, they'll get to meet them in one of our venues together collectively. We have a really fine group of individuals who believe in the cause, and a lot of them were victims themselves or met someone that were, and now they're making changes too. So I think if every one of us can just reach out and touch a life, we're doing our job.
Absolutely. And I will say this before I turn it over to Jocely. Karate schools and the programs that we have, it ain't like back in the 80s, man, when me and you were punching walls and breaking boards and stuff like that. It's evolved. They understand their place in the community of helping to save lives and change lives through bullying and things like that. There are yoga programs. There's jujitsu. There's kempo. There's meditation. There's Tai Chi. There's all kinds of avenues. And if hitting a heavy bag is not your thing, that's just one step. That's just one path to get through this stuff. There's other methods. Learning to breathe, learning to meditate. Uh-oh, the dog's barking. That means Gabe's home. So these are things that you can get involved in, and we want to see you there. StompTheBullying.net. You can contact me. You know how to get a hold of me because I'm always here. I got no life. Anyway, Jocelyn, wrap it up for us and we'll get out of here.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to speak tonight. I always honor every moment I get to be able to reach out to people, let them know how wonderful they are, let them know how every single one of us can do something in our own worlds with the tools that we have. And we can certainly grow those tools in the toolbox, like you just said. But at the same time, I believe it's our responsibility to be better for kids around us. There is suffering around us, adults who have a hard time, people who have somebody who jumps at you has a hard time somehow. We have a responsibility to be better. We have a responsibility to others to give them our most. And by default, just adding a little love to everybody's life. And that's how I feel.
And that's what it is, because the people that are doing the bullying are usually the ones that have the hardest wounded hearts. through
Correct.
this. I mean, they didn't learn it just by reading a book. They went through it, you know, and it just continues the cycle. So I want to thank you guys for being on. Watch this. I'm gonna see if I can do this. You ready? Okay, I'm in the middle. Here we go. I love you.
I love you.
I love you. And for anybody who is interested, that's the email. Sign up, get in touch with her. You know, even if you don't know why you're doing it, get in touch with her, because if there's something that touched your heart or rings true for you during this broadcast, you got to call her. Shawn Kelley, stompthebullying.net, anti-bullying program. He does it the right way. It's not the old 80s, you know, this is your father's karate school kind of stuff. It's different now. Okay, it's evolved into a whole new thing. And when you get your kids in there, they're going to learn, they're going to grow, they're going to prosper. Even if putting on the gloves isn't their thing, there's lots of other stuff out there now. So check it out. Go to your local karate school. See what's going on out there. Our buddy Bill Superfoot Wallace is teaching a class right. It's Wednesday. So he's teaching a class right now online. You can go virtual and learn this stuff. He's got a school. Okay, so there's lots of opportunities out there, and you guys are going to be on here with me more often. Thank you. I appreciate it. We're not done with this yet, and this is just the start of some great stuff. So as I learn how to do this broadcast stuff a little bit better and a little more professional, we're going to continue this series with all kinds of solutions, ideas, workshops, things that for even like what's going on in our world today, how to relax from all of that stuff, how to let the shoulders drop, how to take a deep breath and just be, you know? All right. So thank you guys for being on the program. I appreciate you guys. And with that, we're out of here. Now, one of the things that's hard for us to do here on our little program is to kind of arrange a specific time and date and share links, because these are live broadcasts. They kind of happen when they happen, and I can't advertise it ahead of time because it doesn't exist yet, so I can't link to it. So you guys stay on here, watch Shawn's webpage, watch Jocelyn's webpage, watch my webpage, and I will always put, and I need to put them up earlier, at least a week before, I'll put up an ad that tells you when we're going to be here and what we're going to be doing. So join us, be a part of the family. We appreciate you guys for being here. We appreciate you for staying and watching the archives. And let's wish the best for 2021. We're going to come in with a grateful attitude. Thank you guys. And I'll check in with you next time. I'll give you guys a call after the broadcast. Okay?
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Love you. Take care.
Bye-bye. Love you too.
All right.